Hey everyone, Matt here from the Jimmy Lewis Off-Road Riding School, and today I want to tell you about the online beginner course that we have available right now at jimmylewisoffroad.com/online courses. This is a course that you can purchase and receive lifetime access to 10 lessons and 10 drills that I use when I'm teaching beginner riders out here in Pahrump, Nevada. These lessons and drills are designed to take anyone who has never touched a motorcycle before and have them riding safely and comfortably at the completion of this course. We've been developing this curriculum for quite some time, and with the feedback that we have gotten from real beginner riders, I feel comfortable in saying it is the safest and most comprehensive introduction to the sport that we all love. Now, if you've been riding for quite some time but want to help someone out who is just looking to get into the sport, you can purchase this as a gift and help give them this safe introduction. Again, this is all available at jimmylewisoffroad.com/online courses. Now, here's the show.
I'm Jimmy Lewis.
I'm Matt Mattoon.
And this is the Better Rider Podcast. This is the show where we hopefully try to give you a few nuggets of knowledge and help you become a better rider. Of course, this is for our both in-person and online.
Yes, online.
Riding
website.
Classes. Yeah, I have a hard time with the online stuff.
It's technology.
So we're going to talk about how to get into riding off-road. And this is actually a difficult subject for us because both of us have pretty much been doing it since we were young kids.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And that's the way that most people get into it. It's like it's either maybe your parents were doing it or you just got an addiction to motorcycles, like myself. Your friends had a dirt bike or a mini bike or something, and you just sort of did it.
Right.
So a lot of the experience that we have from this is from watching a lot of our clients come. They may have come from other backgrounds. A lot of time, lots of street miles. They've been riding on the street for a long time, and it's like, that looks like fun. Or they've run out of pavement, and all of a sudden it's like, look at all these dirt roads. Or, some of my other friends got this thing called a dual sport motorcycle or an adventure bike. And so Jimmy Lewis Off-Road Training is off-road training, like you said. We do ride dirt bikes. We ride dual sport bikes. We ride adventure bikes. We ride our adventure bikes on the street quite a bit. So the
Hasnobbies were on it.
Yeah. We're pretty much, from trials to mini bikes to, big old adventure bikes. I've spent a lot of time on all these different bikes, and most of my coaches through doing this have started reaching out and doing different things as well. But I guess the question is like, and it's hard, like I said, it's hard for us because how do you get into off-road?
We've been in it so long that we kind of, honestly, my story is similar to yours. Is just been in it for so long. We had an interest in it, and we just
you got a dirt bike and you rode it.
Yeah,
that's it. There was there really wasn't any formal training. Luckily your mom brought you to get some training when she came. So you think about it, it's like, I want to do that. And then I guess the thing is we'll take care of you teaching how to ride.
Right.
That's our job. But in the other side of it, it's like you want to get a motorcycle. And like one of our questions is, what is the right bike for a beginner rider? And I kind of roll back to, there's a lot of wrong bikes.
Right.
It's real easy to get the wrong bike. And the wrong bike can do two things. It can completely discourage you from having positive riding experiences and make you not like riding, which is strange. But there are some people that just won't like riding.
You'll crash a lot. If it's the wrong bike. Yeah,
crash, or it doesn't run right. It's a mechanical nightmare. There's a lot of stuff there. But you also you can also get something that is just intimidating, and you may struggle through it and learn your way through the problems of the bike. But I've seen more times than not, literally getting the wrong motorcycle, and maybe it's the wrong type of motorcycle. The bike itself isn't bad. It's just, you don't go buy a motocross bike and say, I'm going to go adventure touring on it. I'm going to put a big gas tank and some saddlebags in this thing, and I'm off to the races.
Right. You're not going to take a.
It's just not. It's just you're taking a tool, the wrong tool for the job, and kind of in that case, I guess you're taking. I was going to say knife to a gunfight, but they'd be kind of something different.
You wouldn't want to take a Phillips screwdriver for a flathead screw.
Correct. Yes.
And that's, yeah.
So I guess, and I've talked about this a lot, when I've talked to people that are getting into riding, it's like, what type of riding do you want to do? Like, what is is it strict like dirt bike riding? Do you want to go out on the single track trails up in the mountains, or do you want to load up your bike and go camping for a few days? And some people say, well, I want to do all of that. And it's like, okay, you just made you made the target so wide. There's not a good single target for this. Although there are some bikes that are extremely capable in wide ranges, there's not like the magic bike and
the one size fits all bike.
Correct. They're designed, tools for the job. If you're gonna go to the track, you want to ride motocross bike. If you want to go ride on the trails, well, then you're looking at an enduro or a dual sport bike. And we have a video up on YouTube right now that kind of goes through this and explains the different types of bikes. And don't feel intimidated if you don't know, because if we started talking about physics, right, I sound like a dum-dum most part. Like at least the formulas.
Well, everyone needs to. If you don't know, you don't know, right?
Right.
You all gotta learn it. You gotta learn. Like I sound. If I start talking some, mechanical stuff, I start sounding like a dum-dum. So
it's and
it's
same
all what
thing.
you know.
It's like we talk about race cars or dogs or something. I don't know anything about this stuff.
Right.
So.
And if you have any questions when you're viewing that video, feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll respond to it.
Yep. And so back onto the what is the right bike? Well, identify the type of riding you're going to do, and then look for bikes in that segment. And people oftentimes get really hung up on certain things like, displacement and how fast is it, and how much does it weigh, and there's all these specifications that tend to be the deciding factors. Like I need to have this, or I need to have that.
I need to be in this horsepower range.
Right. I don't want to feel like my buddy's bikes are all that much faster, and it's kind of like, it's really the one that fits you. And you think about it, it's like, okay, this one makes this much horsepower and stuff. Like, how much are you really going to be riding it at that horsepower level? And this one weighs this much. And I will tell you from years of experience on motorcycles, the number that the bike weighs and the way it feels are two different things. I mean, yeah, if you tip it over and you go to pick it up, that's a different story. But I've had bikes that weigh 30 to 50 pounds heavier than another bike, and when you ride them, you literally don't notice it. So there's stuff, kind of, and be careful of some of the reviews that you're getting out there. I mean, just like, something like this, you're like, how do I know these guys are credible? How do I trust them? Well, we've got a resume, we have some experience and stuff. We've been doing this for a long time. So we're pretty confident in the information that we're giving you. And that's why we're not telling you specifically, go buy this and go
right.
This is the best bike for you, because
there's too many variables.
You are different.
Yeah.
Then that's why they make so many different bikes, so you can actually, choose the right one. And so that's kind of it. Decide the type of riding you're going to do. Look at the bikes in the category. You carefully do your research, and by all means, if you can get test rides on vehicles, if you have friends that have a motorcycle or something, and remember, a friend is going to steer you into the direction of get another one just like mine,
or a common one I've heard: get a bike that you'll grow into.
Oh,
that is a super dangerous thought process. You do not want to go down that road.
You can grow into it a little bit, but not one that you really, really grow into, especially for kids and, younger, smaller people, because I know they're growing that fast, but like having a bad experience on a bike that's too big is again, not the best.
Getting a new bike might be expensive, but hospital bills are also really expensive.
Yes.
So
that leads us right into the next thing that we want to talk about, is how to buy your first bike. Just finance it, right?
Yeah. You want to get the highest interest rate you can.
No.
This isn't Dave Ramsey.
Yeah. you need to like kind of set out a budget, just like anything else. Kind of set out a budget, and if you think about it, if you're in, and maybe you don't not 100% sure, you might want to go used. You might want to buy something that's a little less expensive to kind of get in, like we call it an entry level motorcycle. But just be very aware of when it's a fixer upper. As opposed to something you want to buy something that's running in a good working condition. It may be difficult for you to tell, but if you're just new to this, don't go to fixer upper land just yet. Yeah. Even if you're good mechanically, because you'll learn that motorcycles, you will learn that motorcycles are their own unique thing. Mm-hmm. And so find something that's in your price range, kind of set a budget. And remember, if you're looking at buying this thing for this price, there's probably someone else out there that's looking at the same thing. So if you get that bike and you find out, in the used market, if you find out that it's maybe not the right one, should be pretty easy to sell that one and then try something a little bit different. If you start buying stuff up at the higher end in the new market to start off with, unless you're pretty sure of what you want, you're going to take that hit when you buy something new. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have the opportunity to, and sometimes, going on a couple test rides while you're buying bikes, off the, mm-hmm. Well, it used to be Craigslist, now it's marketplaces and different things like that. Mm-hmm. If you can just take a couple spins on some of those bikes, just to get a feeling for them, is this the right thing? Maybe that's a good thing, but make sure at that point you know how to ride. I'd hate for someone to come over and want to buy this bike and then ride it right into the side of the motorhome, huh?
Right. And then they say, well, Jimmy Lewis told me to just test ride bikes.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure. So I just put that there because
make sure you know how to ride before you go test ride.
Yeah. And your first bike's not going to be your last bike. I mean, you may fall in love with it and you may become attached to it and stuff like that, but bikes are like girlfriends and tear offs. Just pull them and go get the next one. So, anyways, so I think I've always thought that, starting out with a used bike and then just, meander around. And when you do start riding, you will, hopefully you will find friends that are doing the same thing and you'll see what they're riding and it'll, maybe even before you go riding, go out to a place where you would like to ride, whether it's a motocross track or go to an adventure rider rally or go to a dual sport thing or go to the place where all the dual sport guys end up and check out the equipment, talk to them, learn some stuff. And just these little things that maybe that you didn't think of can really take some of the pain out of, getting your first bike and maybe making a mistake or two, which we all do.
Right. It's how you learn.
Right.
In my case, I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, I was right there. I don't remember you following any of my advice. At least the first time.
It was never the first time because it was always you can't be. There's no way There's no way you're right.
I never listened to anybody my age when I was your age anyway. So why would I encourage you to do the same? So, anyways. Gear is the next thing you need. Like, what is the bare minimum of gear? And we're talking about riding gear. Mm-hmm. What should you have? And I always say a helmet and boots, good helmet, good sturdy boots. And I'm a big fan of knee cups. Gloves as well. Right. So if I'm going to go riding, I always have boots, helmet, knee cups underneath my riding pants and good gloves. Because it seems like those are the contact points that will hit the ground. Your feet, your hands, your knees, and your head. Yeah. Kind of tend. Yeah, you can go to the hips and different things like that, but at the bare minimum. And when we start talking about helmets, you have to remember that a helmet is what we call a disposable piece of equipment. It's a one-time use thing because it's designed to absorb impacts. And if you use it, you smash your head and you get you ding it, the foam gets compromised. And oftentimes it's not stuff that you can see. So I'm not of the school that more expensive is always better on helmets. It's making sure that your helmet meets the standards, whether it's, ECE or DOT or Schnell, understand what these standards are and buy a helmet that makes you feel safe and comfortable. Because if you can tell me how you're going to crash, I can tell you what type of helmet you should have on. But we don't know this. And so, getting a helmet that's certified is always, good. And, make sure that if you do use it, you're able to replace it. Mm-hmm. Onto the boots.
One quick question on the helmets, actually. How do you know when the helmet fits right?
It probably feels too tight. Generally, people buy helmets that are sized a little bit too big for them. So, make sure it's snug, because if your head's loose in there, it's not going to do his job as effectively. And if there's hot spots or it's pinching or it doesn't fit you, try some different helmets on, because if it doesn't fit you right, it's not going to protect you as well. It's not going to disperse the impact as well as a nice fitting helmet. And then on to boots. Off-road, they make specific off-road boots that, usually go up to the shin, up higher on the shin. And they're designed to protect your ankles and feet, in case the bike hits it, in case you kick something.
Really good support.
Yeah, and they have really good support. And there's a reason for this. Like not just in, big crashes, but sometimes the bike just falls over and lands on your foot. Or you bump into a rock somehow when you're,
rocks will actually get kicked up by the front wheel or just something.
Just run into things. So off-road boots are designed to be kind of sturdy. And most people, and the biggest complaint we hear is, I can't feel, the shifting. I can't feel the braking. Well, this is kind of normal. And after a while, you'll get used to it. And you realize that you don't really ever feel those things. You just know where they are, and you understand how to operate them with the boots. But trust me, it's a lot better to take a boot on or off than have to wear a cast for 4 to 6 weeks. And this is, as a guy, coming from a guy with 9 toes who completely destroyed his foot while wearing one of the best boots on the market, thank God, I still have a foot.
Right.
And I smashed my foot into a rock, and the boot did its job. And had I had probably a lesser boot or no boot at all, I wouldn't have a foot. So this is kind of important, and you'll get used to it. And I've seen people try to wear their road riding boots off road, or
steel tip work boots. I've seen that a few times,
and that's better than nothing.
Right.
I mean, and granted, that's better than nothing, but it's just like anything. The motorcycle boots are generally specifically designed to work for this, so they're better at it. But I would say a steel-toed work boot or something that comes up and protects your ankle is better than wearing a slipper.
Right.
Or your Vans.
Or just tennis shoes. Yeah.
Right. So, and you don't get, a lot of times you don't get to pick when an accident happens. And I'm not of the dress for the crash, because I don't plan on crashing.
Right.
But every once in a while an accident happens, and you want to be prepared when you do that. On to the gloves. I see a lot of people really go overboard on the gloves. And I mean, you can get gloves with a lot of protection, but then you don't have as much dexterity and feel.
The feeling, yeah.
Which, if that protection goes into preventing you from controlling the bike properly, it becomes as much of a hindrance as it is a protection device. So this is the way I am with all of my gear, and I'm very selective about what I wear. I understand there's a lot of different levels of quality, and there's a lot of different levels of protection, and I've definitely seen some people that don't wear enough gear, and I've seen a lot of people that wear too much. So when we start getting into things like chest protectors and neck braces and knee braces and all these different things, I always say, dress to the level that you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable and safe, then I feel comfortable and safe with what you're wearing. I'm not gonna pick. I wear chest protectors a lot of times when I ride for certain reasons. I don't wear neck braces for certain reasons that are very specific to me.
Yeah.
Knee braces. Sometimes when I'm riding motocross, I wear knee braces. Sometimes I don't. I always have knee cups, because, like I said, the contact points tend to be your hands.
When you crash.
Yeah. When you go down, you put your hands down, your palms, so having a good glove that has, some protection, but still free. And then the knee cups just tend to, help the knees not take the impact. And the braces go kind of to a whole nother level. But I tell you what, not being all scuffed up
it's nice.
Yeah. I've definitely done my share of elbows, scratching up my elbows and stuff, but I still don't wear elbow pads that often. A lot of the jerseys that we wear have some little bit of protection built in, but that's kind of like, the bare minimum of gear. And we kind of talked about the advantage of the purpose-built gear, the motorcycle boots, a motorcycle specific pant. They're cut and designed to move in the ways that you're moving on a motorcycle. They're designed to keep your pads in place, underneath, They
have a little bit extra spot width in the knees, so your knee braces or knee guards don't get all caught up in the pant.
Right, and it's funny how much we see people like putting the pads on the outside of the outside of the pants.
Yeah,
a lot of times when they come to the schools,
they'll put it on the outside of their jeans.
Yeah, outside of the jeans and stuff because they're outside of the jeans because they don't fit inside.
Right.
And they're on the outside of the motorcycle pants because the rider oftentimes just doesn't know better that they're supposed to go underneath. And the reason they're underneath there is because it keeps them in place.
Don't slide around,
and it also looks better.
Right.
but the pads on the outside is kind of the reason the gear is designed to put stuff underneath, or the pads are contained inside of the gear. A lot of the jackets, if you're wearing a jacket, have the pads built into the jacket so that they stay connected to you.
And then another thing about the purpose-built like riding pants is they'll have the leather or heat protection by your knees, so your knees don't get burned by the engine heat.
Yep. And lots of, and then the way they're vented and how they're, like I said, how they're cut and stuff like that. And there's nothing really special in the jerseys. They're like I said, there's lots of, chest protectors that are built into like a shirt-like suit.
Yeah.
There's ones that, they're plastic pieces that have straps and you strap them on and clip them on. Sometimes they're under the jersey. Sometimes they're over the jersey. So there is a lot of different stuff. And, I think the boots are probably the most specific piece of equipment built for motorcycle riding, and there's a lot of variety. Some of them flex more than others and fit differently, and that's the thing. As you get better, you can try a lot of different things.
And then one quick question for eye protection: recommend goggles, right? Not just like safety glasses, or
well, I think it kind of just depends. Depends on how. I oftentimes wear, when I'm adventure riding, I wear a modular helmet with glasses underneath, and that way I can lift the visor up and still have some protection from the wind or things that are flying up and hitting your eyes. And it's amazing, like how many bugs like to find your eyes when you're riding,
right?
Especially when you're
I've
not
had that
protected.
happen, yeah.
Goggles tend to work better, in helmets that are designed for them. Goggles work better in dusty conditions or conditions where, stuff's going to get in. It seals up against your face. And so that's, kind of something to consider. But I would be careful of putting, like glasses or something that have sharp edges.
Right. Something that can shatter.
Just in case something goes wrong, something that can shatter or poke you and things like that. And then one other thing that we, often see is when a new rider's like, well, what else do I need? I've got my motorcycle, I've got my gear. Is there anything else that I need? And, it kind of depends on the bike. If it's an adventure bike or a dual sport bike, a lot of people, they don't have a truck or a car with a trailer or something to transport it. So they're I'm going to ride this thing everywhere.
Right.
That's one thing. But, if you do go riding with your buddies, I think of the things that I take all the time. I always have to have my loading ramp. I always have to have my gas can.
Right.
I've got a little kind of tool pack that I carry with me so I can do, minor repairs and tune things up. And, so, sometimes these are things that we forget. You need a lot of times a gear bag for your gear.
Right.
Unless, I know you go into McDonald's every morning before you go riding with your full gear. You're geared up, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Tennis shoes on and all your gear.
Tennis shoes, yeah, and then all the gear. Yeah, no, that's how I drive to the tracks,
Right.
It gets you in the zone.
So, gear bag and things like that. So, and you'll learn, I when I start doing something new, I tend to make a list. I make a list of when I use my phone now, and when I go, oh, I need this.
Right.
Put it on the list, and next time it's with me. So it's definitely a learning experience.
And you'll find what you think you specifically need for yourself as you get into it.
Yeah. So Matt, what was your first bike?
So my first bike was we'll go with my KTM 50 that I had in Alaska when I was 7. Wow. I don't think you actually knew about this story. No, I actually had a dirt bike in Alaska. I rode it all of 2 times. My parents surprised me with it for my 7th birthday because I think I'd caught a Supercross race on TV. I think it was I think this was back in 03, 04. So it was probably when Carmichael was winning everything. But I saw one and I'm like, ooh, that looks really cool. And then my parents took me to the local motocross track up there in Anchorage. And I was like, that's really cool. I want to get into it. And they bought me a little KTM 50. I don't remember the model. I just remember it was a KTM 50 and had a lot of fun with that. I crashed into the side of the side of our little garage in the first 10 minutes. And
similar to my first riding story, I hit a car though.
Oh, you hit a car?
Parked car.
Oh, yeah. What was your first bike?
The first bike I rode was a Honda Z50 that I didn't know how to ride, but I told them I knew how to ride.
Yeah.
So I twisted the throttle and didn't go anyplace, which kind of surprised me. And I'm like, oh yeah, you got to push in that lever, that other one. So I pushed down on the shifter. It's auto, it's kind of auto transmission. Clutch. And I pushed down on it and it didn't go. So I was kind of going, and I took my foot off and it went right into the side of my friend's mom's car.
Wow. So it wasn't your bike; it was a friend's bike.
Yeah, that was the first ride, and then I got a Honda CT70. Okay, and I proceeded to ride the wheels off that. Actually, I rode it into two pieces. Me and my brother broke it in half. So that's how both of us got started. And like on most of our Better Rider podcasts, we like to drop a little nugget of knowledge on you, so you can hopefully take something away from this other than us chitter chattering.
Yeah.
On this one, we're going to talk about the proper way to get on your motorcycle, which seems like really simple, but it's kind of when you get on the motorcycle, you're starting your ride, from that point, and we don't want you to start wrong. So we spend a lot of time talking about balance. And we watch people climb onto their motorcycles with the side stand on, or we watch people like flop themselves onto the motorcycle and then just instantly have to like try to plant both feet, and they're muscling it around. And we don't want you to do this. We want you to, we call it sneak up on the motorcycle. So we want to make sure that when you're ready to get on it, you take it off the side stand or center stand, whatever you have, and the bike is balanced. And you need to figure out how to do this maneuver. And this is something we teach in the class, especially with our beginner curriculum. We teach you different ways of learning how to do a maneuver to kind of get your body over the center of the bike, get on, move yourself into the position on the bike, and then get your foot on the foot peg on the other side, not on the ground. So you're not going to flip yourself up and then try to go plop both feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Because you don't ride with both feet on the ground. We don't want you practicing with both feet on the ground. We want to make sure you have one foot on the ground because that tells you where the ground is, and one foot on the foot peg on the other side because that tells you where the bike is, because your feet are really good balance sensors. So imagine standing off to the side of the bike and then figuring how to swing your leg over it, and your leg goes from wherever it is over to the opposite side foot peg. And then you can either at that point stand there, and all your weight would still be on the foot that's on the ground, or sit down on the motorcycle, and that way you're taking your weight off of the foot that was on the ground and putting your weight on the seat of the motorcycle, which is a very comfortable place to put it, but not the most effective for controlling the bike, which is what we get into much farther down the program. But we want you to start right from the beginning. So as the expert beginner instructor, did I do that properly?
You did do that properly. One thing I do want to add in there, though, is the reason why you don't want to throw. I want to make it a little more clear why you don't want to throw your foot on when you get your foot over the bike and throw it on the ground. We always teach that you want to be balanced when you're riding a motorcycle, 100% of the time. And so when you go to throw your leg on the over the bike and then onto the ground the other side, that throws you out of balance for a moment, unless you're ridiculously tall and you can just step over the bike. So that's why we want you to go straight to the foot peg and not straight to the ground, because we don't want that moment of being out of balance.
And it also, when you do this, the whole time you're keeping your bike balanced. You're never letting your bike come that far out of balance. And when a lot of times when you see people that are going from one side to the other, you think about when you're getting, the side you're getting on the bike is typically leaning towards you. Okay. And then when you go throw that foot to the other side, a lot of times you take the bike with you and you go from one side to the other side, and you see this out of balance thing that we keep talking about. If you're doing this, you're used to it, and that's bad. And you want to kind of start setting your sensors a little bit tighter so that this kind of stuff doesn't happen. So with that, we will wrap up the show. So now you're trying to think about, I get on my motorcycle wrong? These guys are nuts. I want to learn how to ride my motorcycle. Well, it all starts right from the beginning. So
there we go.
Anyways, you can learn more about us at www.jimmylewisoffroad.com. We do schools out here in Pahrump, Nevada during the cooler months of the year. We have our online training that's easily accessible. And then you can also, if you're looking at doing schools up in the Pacific Northwest, you can check out CispusCycles.com. That's CispusCycles, cycles.
That's a tongue twister.
Tongue twister.
Yeah.
Where our partners up there are teaching our curriculum to a very high level in the beautiful green mountains.
Not in the Valley of the Dirt.
Not in Valley of the Dirt where we are out here. So with that, Matt, we will see you out in the trail.
See ya.
Cheers.